Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy MidPokeMaster here today with the APA Academy Season 4 Draft Analysis. So before we get any further, don't forget to like and subscribe and click that bell in the top right corner if you want a notification whenever I upload. Around 60 to 70% of the people that watch my videos are currently not subscribed. So please make sure to subscribe. You know, it shows a lot of support. It shows that you want to see more Draft League content and just more videos from me in general. So if you do not know what the AP Academy is, where have you been? This is the APA D League. I am the commissioner of it. I run it with my good pal, Diet Tight. You know, so yeah, I've been running it for 4 seasons. You know, this is our 4th season. We had season 3 last year at the start of the gen. And just between every Wi-Fi league, you know, just starting up, we wanted to focus more on those. But here we are back with APA Academy. So this season's a little bit different than normal. APA Academy is not known to, you know, have like standard seasons. Season 1 was, you know, the 3 draft season. Season 2 was Ubers. Season 3 was standard. And Season 4 is low tier. So, yes, that is right. This is the first low tier season that I believe has been on Gen 8 Wi-Fi. So we're super excited to bring you this. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have 16 coaches, 8-week season. You know, not super long like BBR. That was like 12 weeks. Because, you know, we just want, you know, this is low tier. You know, it's not supposed to be taken, you know, super, you know, competitive. It's more for fun. Just, you know, have fun with some friends. You know, draft some mons that you don't normally get to see and just try different formats. So I got 16th out of 16th pick, which, you know, is very unfortunate. You know, they just, in low tier, you know, the round 1 threats are, in my opinion, few and far between. Like, the top threats, you know, are the top threats. It's very hard to beat those. So I really wanted those, but unfortunately I couldn't. So, like, things like Zygarde, 10%. What else was there? Slowking, Galar, Heracross. Tornai was something I really wanted. Blaziken, Cabalion. Let me just look at the draft board. Blaziken, always. So, like, there was just a lot of round 1 threats. Even Xurkitree. So, something to note about me for APA Academy is every season I have done pretty much a lot better. Season 1, I went like 4-6, didn't make playoffs. But that was like one of my first Wi-Fi leagues ever, so obviously it doesn't excuse I went 4-6, but you know, I was starting out. Season 2, I went like 7-5 and got a round 1 bye and lost in, it was like quarterfinals. And then last season, season 3, I went 9-1, got a round 1 bye and lost in quarterfinals. So my records did better. So now the only way I can go is undefeated. So, and win the championship. So obviously that's what we're going to be trying for. But as I said, I got 16th out of 16th pick, so obviously there weren't many, you know, round 1 threats still available. You know, the mons that every team has to have like a switch, has to prep a switch in for, like the Zygarde 10% was there, it forces everybody to grab a grass type. So my round 1 threat, my round 1 pick, I mean, that's also a threat, Celebi. So Celebi is a mon I've literally never drafted before. I always think it's just one of the dumbest mons in the format. Just because it's one of those ones that if you put it in tier 3, it's too good, but if you put it in tier 2, it's never going to get drafted. But Celebi is a base 100 mon, you know, just straight base 100 across the board. Grass and Psychic type, so, you know, getting my grass type for my Fire Water Grass core. You know, gets U-turn, gets Stealth Rock. You know, it's very good specially offensive with, you know, like Nasty Plot, Giga Drain, Psychic, Earth Power to hit Steel types. Can also be bulky with like Stealth Rock, Recovery, U-turn. Can even have Healing Wish. So Celebi is a mon that I'm not for sure if I'm gonna like. But there really wasn't much else there that I could have like I wanted to use. This draft is a lot of mons that I'm comfortable with and mons I want to try again or haven't used before, especially in this gen. So I just felt like Celebi, which is something I haven't used before. It's a mon that I constantly just say is terrible. My good pal lives that Celebi's good in low tier, and I trust her. She told me to get Mega Medicham and PMU, and I'm loving it there. So Celebi, I just feel like is a good. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about Celebi because, as I said before, I never used it. She used it really well against me, and Liv used it against me in BBR Season 2, I believe, and did really well with it. So Celebi, you know, just base 100 across the board, which is, you know, a pretty fast mon. Considering it's low tier and there's not many mods above base 100 outside of Choice Scarfers. So, and it's hoping to give me that bulky mon, gives me a Stealth Rocker, as I said, because Stealth Rocks are pretty good in low tier because a lot of these games are going to be won just completely by offense. So And with offense, you want to be able to set up hazards, to put those mons in range of your, very offensive attacks that normally, they might not die to. So, since I have Wheel at 16th out of 16th, I basically get to pick 2 mons at once. And this one I'm way more excited about, and that is Snorlax. So, Snorlax is the 15-point mon. I have not used this at all since Gen 7. I used to spam it a lot in my early days of Gen 7. But I'm super excited to use it again. It's a mon that's usually goes like round 2 or late round 2, round 3, round 4. And usually by then I just don't think about my bulkier mons. I'm usually thinking about more offensive mons. But Snorlax is a mon that I always love to see used. I think it's a great mon, 15-point mon, exactly where it needs to be. It can be Curse, Rest Talk. My opponents don't have a Ghost type, I can just spam, Facade or whatever normal type move I want to click. It could also just be Assault Vest offensive because, to take those specially defensive hits. Because the special defense is not very good. But it has very good HP, attack, and defense. So I feel like Snorlax, is just a very good mon, to pair with Celebi. Celebi can take the fighting type hits for Snorlax. And Snorlax really doesn't take any of the hits for Celebi. Like it can, but it's not resisted. But it can just naturally take so many hits and just deal so much damage back. It's a Gen 1 normal type, so it just has all the coverage. Between Ice Punch, it gets all the punches. It gets Earthquake, Seed Bomb. It gets Dark type moves to hit the Ghost types. So this mon can honestly just win games by itself. I can be Belly Drum, Citrus Berry, and just Wall Break. I can be, as I said before, Curse, 2 attacks, Resto Chesto, or Sleep Talk. So Snorlax is the mon I used to love, and I'm super excited to use it again. It's Chunky Mama. And Snorlax is just a very good mon that a lot of people like to see. It did get a little bit nerfed this gen with, the Super Berries not being 50% anymore, going back to 33. But Snorlax is just a mon I haven't used in a long time, and I really want to use this on Gen 8 Wi-Fi. Just because I think it'll just be super fun to use. So I had to wait like 30 picks or so to get my next pick in Salazzle. I feel Salazzle will be very good in low tier. I used this once this gen in EWT Season 2, and I really enjoyed it there. I picked up quite a few kills, especially against my good pal Ant, because he did not have a fire resist. So Salazzle, is a base 117 speed, which normally you think is still pretty fast, but this is like top 5 speed tier mon in the format, just because there's not many mons that have very high speed tiers. And I feel like it paired very well with my team, because Celebi, Snorlax really don't like steel types, and Salazzle deals with them very well. And currently I don't have the best way of breaking bulky grass types, which Salazzle also deals with very well. And my 3 biggest weaknesses are ground, psychic, and water in Salazzle. And Celebi deals with those all, like can switch into any of those attacks. So I feel like these first 3 picks really fit well together. It gives me a grounded poison, so my opponents can't just spam T-Spikes against me. They're at least forced to like they're not immediately going to put on their T-Spike user on their draft, on their team. I'm really struggling today, and I don't know why. But Salazzle I just think fits very well on this team. Heavy duty boots, so I don't lose to, I don't take rocks or recoil. So I feel like Salazzle just fits very well. It's a mon that I'm comfortable with. You can be sub-toxic, you can just be straight specially offensive with Fire Blast, Sludge Wave, Dragon Pulse, and whatever other move you need. And I just think this mon can just put in a lot of work. So next one I got was Gastrodon. So Gastrodon, I've had it in the league recently. I think it was UPA Season 1. And I was kind of disappointed with it, but I just don't think that was a very good draft that fit my playstyle in the slightest, so that's not Gastrodon's fault. But Gastrodon is, just a really good water ground type. 4 times weakness to grass, but between Celebi and Salazzle, I'm not too worried about that. It's another way of beating steel types that Celebi and Snorlax really don't want to deal with. So, this mon can just spam Scald, EQ, Recover Toxic in literally any given matchup. Can also have Ice move to hit grass types on the switch in. So, Gastrodon really doesn't do much. You'll mostly see it, just Scald, EQ, Recover Toxic, as I said. That's just what Gastrodon is known for. But it's very hard to beat that. Like, I'm going to have to be worried about, getting Toxic. But Salazzle can't get Toxic. Snorlax can be, Immunity or Rest, Sleep Talk. And Celebi has Natural Cure, so I'm not too worried about Toxics. But I think Gastrodon is just a really good mon on this team. It's something I'm super comfortable with. So yeah. Next up, we had to wait like 20 more picks. 30, I mean. Whatever. So I got a Noctowl. I thought Noctowl, this is pretty early for it. But 6-point Noctile, I couldn't say no to. It's a mon I'm very comfortable with after if you've seen me use it in BBR Season 2. I loved running Dual Dance and just breaking through teams and just claiming kills against my opponents. I ride against Dorian and I believe D.Rey week 1, and it just put in the finest of work. So Noctile, you know, can just spam Hurricane, Specs Hurricane with Tinted Lens, just hit super hard. This doesn't appreciate hitting Steel types either, but after being Specs and Tinted Lens, Hurricane just 2-hit KOs most teams, if not one-shots most mons. It's not super fast, but you know I can always be Agility Nasty Ball, as I said, and just click the Hurricane button. Obviously I have to hope I don't miss. That's a chance I'm willing to take, just because Noctile is a mon I'm super comfortable with. Like, this league obviously isn't super serious because it's low tier, so I just want to try a combination of mons I haven't used before or haven't used in a while. Some of my favorites like Noctile, and some mons I just really wanted to try again. So, or new mons I wanted to use. That's what I meant to say on the last one. So Noctile, you know, fits into mons that I really wanted to use again, that it's been a while. You know, it just doesn't have very good switch-ins. Its best switch-ins are, you know, just bulky, like SixFtHax mons that aren't, you know, resisted. Because with Tinted Lens, my resisted hits just hits so much harder. But Noctile, just a mon I'm super comfortable with. It gives me a defogger. Don't think I'll be running defog with this much. But, you know, bulky Noctile, you know, is never a bad bring. As it can, you know, it's pretty SPDF, so it can take those special hits. You know, Roost defog, Hyper Voice, like Air Slash, whatever I need it to be that week. So next up, I got Hitmonchan. I had this Season 3 of Academy. I had it in a PCL before it died, RIP CL. There was another league I had it, but this mon, you know, isn't the greatest. It's 7 points for a reason, but it's one I'm super comfortable with and haven't used in a while and really excited to use again. Not bulky fighting types, just fighting types in general run low tier just a little bit, as there's just a lot of, you know, a lot of mons that, you know, become like the bulky mons, like Steel types become, you know, like your bulky psychics, you know, they kind of take on that role. Dark types are pretty good here, because there are some low tier psychic types like Duosian. So I just felt like Hitmonchan did well with this team, as it also breaks Steel types. Gives me a rapid spinner, has good coverage, you know, between Drain Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch. It gets like EQ, as I said before, rapid spin. So Hitmonchan for 7 points. Hitmonchan, I mean, I don't know why I said Hitmonchan. I think it's just a very good mon for the tier. Something I'm comfortable with. I like Revenge. I swept like Flame Horizon with it last season. You know, picked up 3 kills, you know, set up before the GMAX Greyveee could come in. And, you know, it just couldn't break me. So I think Hitmonchan is just a very underrated mon that my opponents have to prep for, because I've run this thing like Life Orb offensive and just claim kills, and my opponents just won't even prep for it, between, you know, me having a Salazzle Snorlax Celebi. So I waited another 30 picks or so, and I got Rotom. You know, it gives me a ground immunity that usually most of my teams don't have. At Zangoose, he always makes fun of me for not having ground immunities, but between Celebi being a resist, Noctile, and Rotom, I'm pretty good against ground types. So electric types are always super good, you know, to help break those bulky waters that my team kind of struggles with. Like, I do have Celebi, and, you know, a lot of my team can pressure water types, but, you know, Rotom just really helps me with that. Doesn't care to get Scald Burned. Gives me another way of removing hazards with Defog. And Ghost types are always good, so your opponents are forced to bring Defog instead of Rapid Spin if I try to hazard stack, even though I only have one hazard setter at the moment. So I think Rotom at base 91 speed is very nice. You know, can full switch around. Shadow Ball is very hard hitting. Can always be nasty plot. You know, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, like Pain Split or like Willow, whatever move I need to be. It's one of the few mons that actually has all 3 status moves, being Willow, Toxic, Thunder Wave. So Rotom, I think, is just it's a mon that I haven't tried before. I'm super excited to use. I loved using Rotom Wash. I have Rotom Heat in a league you'll see soon. So I'm super excited for this mon just in particular. I think it's going to fit well with my playstyle, you know, just being a good pivoting mon. Helps get rid of hazards and can just, you know, pivot around. Bringing my threats like Salazzle, Snorlax, Celebi, even Noctile. So, yes. So, next one I got was Reggie Rocket. This is a mon I've never used before and I wanted to use. I wanted another rock setter, so Celebi isn't forced to do that every week. But Reggie Rocket can also just win games by itself. You know, it's just a bulky rock type, physically defensive. Can set up Stealth Rock. It's gonna be like Curse, Rock Slide for a Sleep Talk. Can just, you know, be Stealth Rock. It just can do whatever it wants. you know, it's mainly going to be here for a rocker and just be a physically defensive, you know, wall. Which, you know, is all I need from it. It's a 7-point mon. You don't expect the world from your 7-point mons. You just want mons that can do their job reliably and can, you know, just come in, set up rocks, take a few hits, deal some damage, as it's a good edge quick user. I've used it a bit, you know, like on the random battle ladder in Gen 7, so like I'm comfortable with it. So I think it's one that I can use pretty well, and I feel like this team just, it might not look like the biggest threat on paper, but I think it fits my playstyle very well, and I just believe I can put in a lot of offensive threats with this team. Like you might expect like Rotom or Reggie Rocket or even Gastrodon to be defensive, but like when I come in and, you know, bring like max attack Gastrodon to spam EQ with, my opponents don't prep for it, and they just kind of lose like their pivot into it. So yes. So next mon I got was Umbreon. I had quite a bit of points left and not a lot of, and nobody else really had points left. But I realized something. I didn't have a dark type, and as I said before, low tier psychic types are still a threat, especially like Duosion, and I can't really think of anything else. But there are some other low tier threats like that. But I needed Umbreon as I wanted something to help deal with ghost types and dark types. I meant ghost types and psychic types. And I have Umbreon in PMU and I'm loving it so far. I've brought it to a few games and it's done the work it's needed to. It gives me a bulky pivot and cleric. You know, those wishes are very nice, especially for Snorlax, Noctowl, Hitmonchan, and even Reggie Rocket. I can run Wish, Protect, Baton Pass, Foul Play every week if I need to, as this mon just can just take the hits it needs to. Wish up, Foul Play, can Toxic, you know, just whittle my opponent down, just stall him out. So I felt like Umbreon is something I can use very well. I really love pivoting mons, you know, force my opponents to, I like to see my opponents like switch in for Monzar, you know, just pivot out, you know, Baton Pass out with this mon. So Celebi has Baton Pass and U-turn. I believe Noctowl has U-turn, but I could be wrong. Rotom has Volt Switch and Umbreon has Baton Pass, so I have a lot of nice pivoting options, especially with Wish here. So yes. So at this point I also realized I had no fairy type. So I got Mawile. Mawile is far from the best fairy type, but every team needs a fairy type because dragon types are always a big threat. So Mawile, you know, 4-point mon, still fairy type, can be physically defensive with Intimidate. Can also just sweep teams with Sheer Force, Life Orb, Swords Dance with like Sucker Punch, Iron Head, Play Rough. So this mon, you know, it's just a 4-point mon, just makes it to where my opponents can't spam, you know, or outrage with like their Flygons or their, what else is there, like dragon type wise, like Dredagons. I know there's more dragon types in this tier, I just can't think of them. Maybe there isn't, like Zygardes, even though he just clicked 1,000 Arrows. I guess there actually isn't that many dragon types as I thought, Noivern especially, and Dragalge. So I just feel like Mawile was decent. You know, it gives me another Stealth Rocker. I don't see it coming to many games, but I think it forces enough prep to where my opponents might have to run like DD instead of just Choice Band or Choice Scarf with Outrage. So for our final mon, I got Shiinotic. So this is another fairy type. I wanted, if I have a low tier fairy type like Mawile that's not really good, I just wanted a secondary fairy type. There wasn't anything else in, you know, this tier range that I felt like fit on my team. So I got Shiinotic. I have it in PMU. It's come to one game so far. Really doesn't do much, but it forces prep. So like my opponents are forced to bring like Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab against me. So, you know, it's just a bulky grass and fairy type. You know, can Strength Sap, can, you know, it's a good Spore user. It's just here to be annoying. So yes. So this is my team. So down below in the comments, on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, 10 being the best team ever, 1 being the worst team ever, tell me how you think my team's going to be and what do you think my record's going to be. This is a 8-week season, so do you think I'm going to go 8-0, like 6-4, 5-5? So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out all the other Academy coaches, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.